The Federal Reserve just dropped a bombshell that's about to change everything for cryptocurrency in America. Imagine being told your business is perfectly legal, but no bank will touch your money. That's been the reality for countless crypto companies over the past few years. But Jerome Powell just changed the game completely. This isn't just another policy update. This is the Federal Reserve essentially saying, game on, to the entire crypto industry. And if you're wondering why Bitcoin jumped 3% in minutes after this announcement, you're about to find out exactly what this means for your money and the future of finance in America. So here's what went down. Fed Chair Jerome Powell stood before Congress on June 24th and said something that made the entire crypto world stop and listen. Banks are free to provide banking services to the crypto industry and are also free to conduct crypto activities. Simple words, massive implications. But to understand why this is such a big deal, we need to talk about what's been happening behind the scenes. For the past few years, crypto companies have been getting systematically cut off from the banking system. We're talking about legitimate businesses being told their accounts are being closed. No explanation, no appeal process, just goodbye. They called it Operation Choke Point 2.0. And before you think this sounds like some conspiracy theory, let me tell you what actually happened. Picture this. You start a crypto company, everything's legal, you follow all the rules, you pay your taxes, then one day your bank calls and says they're closing your account. You ask why, they won't say. You try another bank, same thing. Another bank, rejected before you even finish the application. Mark Andreessen went on Joe Rogan and revealed that over 30 tech founders had been secretly debanked in the last 4 years. 30. And those are just the ones he knew about personally. At a crypto meetup in San Francisco, when the CEO of Anchorage Digital Bank asked a room of about 100 crypto founders who had trouble with banking, every single hand went up. Every single one. But it gets worse. The government wasn't just cutting off basic banking. They were using something called reputational risk to pressure banks. Here's how it worked. Regulators would tell banks that serving crypto clients might hurt their reputation. Not that it was illegal, not that it was unsafe, just that it might look bad. Think about that for a second. The government was essentially saying, we can't make this illegal, but we can make it impossible. Banks got the message loud and clear. The FDIC sent out what they called pause letters. These told banks to stop their crypto activities and wait for approval to continue. Except the approval never came. Paul Grewal from Coinbase testified that banks were subject to regulation by exhaustion. They'd wait and wait, burning money until they had no choice but to give up. Remember those 3 crypto-friendly banks that collapsed in 2023? Silvergate, Signature, and Silicon Valley Bank? That wasn't just bad luck. After they went down, the pressure intensified. Any bank thinking about serving crypto got the message. This is what happens when you work with crypto. The craziest part? This wasn't some rogue operation. This was coordinated across multiple federal agencies. The Fed, the FDIC, the OCC, they were all in on it. They issued joint statements. They created special supervisory processes. They built an entire system designed to keep crypto out of the banking system. And it worked. By 2024, crypto companies were struggling just to pay their rent and employees, not because their businesses were failing, but because they literally couldn't access basic financial services. Then something changed. Trump won the election, and suddenly the tone in Washington shifted dramatically. The new administration made it clear they saw what was happening. They called it un-American. They promised to end it, and the regulators started backing down. First, the FDIC removed reputational risk from their supervision framework. Then the OCC did the same. These agencies were essentially admitting they'd been using subjective standards to block legitimate businesses. But the real game changer came yesterday. Powell didn't just say banks could work with crypto. He acknowledged that what the industry had been saying was true. He said they had all been struck by the number of complaints and the breadth of them. He admitted that at least some of it is real. Coming from the Fed chair, that's huge. That's the most powerful banker in America, essentially saying, yeah, we know what happened, and we're going to stop it. But Powell went even further. He talked about how crypto might have a big future. He specifically mentioned stablecoins, saying they may have a big future and that Congress needs to create a framework for them. He said the Fed isn't against innovation, they just want it done safely. Now let's talk about what this actually means for you and for crypto. First, crypto companies can finally operate like normal businesses. They can get bank accounts, they can process payments, they can pay their employees without jumping through crazy hoops. This might sound like basic, but it's revolutionary for an industry that's been locked out of banking. Second, traditional banks can now openly serve crypto clients without fear. JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, your local credit union, they can all start offering crypto services if they want. And trust me, with the amount of money flowing into crypto, they want. Third, this opens the door for massive institutional investment. When banks can custody crypto, when they can offer crypto products, when they can lend against crypto assets, that's when the real money starts flowing in. But here's what really matters. This isn't just about crypto. This is about whether the government can use backdoor methods to kill industries they don't like. Today it's crypto. Tomorrow it could be AI companies, social media platforms, or any business that challenges the status quo. The fact that it took a change in administration to fix this should worry everyone. No legal industry should be destroyed through regulatory pressure. That's not how America is supposed to work. Powell made it clear. Banks get to decide who their customers are, not regulators using vague concepts like reputational risk. As long as a business is legal and the risks are managed, banks should be free to serve them. Now, this doesn't mean that's going to be crypto-free all. Powell emphasized that banks still need to manage risks. They still need to follow the law. They still need to protect their customers. But they can do all that while serving crypto companies. The crypto industry isn't taking any chances, though. They want this in writing. They want laws passed. They want to make sure this never happens again. The House and Senate are both investigating what happened. They're collecting evidence. They're holding hearings. They want answers. And they should get them, because what happened over the past few years wasn't just an attack on crypto. It was an attack on the basic principle that legal businesses should have access to financial services. The timing of Powell's announcement is also significant. Bitcoin has been hovering around $100,000. Major institutions are launching crypto products. Countries around the world are adopting crypto strategies. America can't afford to fall behind because of regulatory games. What's next? Watch for banks to start announcing crypto services. Watch for crypto companies to start operating more openly. Watch for new products and services that were impossible when the industry was locked out of banking. But watch for the investigations, too. Watch for accountability, because if regulators can do this to crypto, they can do it to any industry. And that's a precedent we can't allow to stand. This is bigger than Bitcoin. This is bigger than crypto. This is about whether America remains a place where innovation can thrive, where new industries can challenge old ones, where the market, not bureaucrats, decides which businesses succeed. Powell's announcement marks the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. The war on crypto is over. Now comes the integration. Now comes the innovation. Now comes the future that was almost killed before it could begin. So what do you think? Is this the turning point crypto needed, or is there more to this story? Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video.